Long time no see. You guys ready to do this? All right, let's do it. No opening statements.
All right, so beat me in here. Thanks for coming, everybody. Welcome back to in-person press conferences. So it's been a while since we've done these. Just raise your hand. We'll call on you for questions. So whoever wants to get started, we'll start with Bert.
Coach, I'll start off with just what defines success for this team in this season?
What defines success?
What defines success? What's your definition of success for this season?
My definition of success is people getting better in everything they do. Winning's a part of it, Brent, but we also don't want anybody to die or, there's a lot of things that go on. But yeah, winning's important. Answer your question?
I have a follow-up, but that was my question.
Okay.
Let's go to Dan and then Mark.
Coach, just to speak on running attack this season, what you're bringing in, some of the guys you're bringing back that opted out, just what you can say about the backfield.
I think the backfield is good. The guys that have opted out are back, and they'll be working their way up the depth chart, but I think that it's one of our stronger groups. There's no doubt about it.
Coach, it wasn't that long ago you guys were coming off a 10-win season, and I think there was talk about how that can carry over into the next season. Now you're on the other side of the coin. What carries over from last year? Is it motivation to show that it was an aberration this year?
First of all, the people who were carrying the conversation after the 10-3 season were not us. Every football season is different. If you've been in 35 of them, going on 36 like I have, you understand that. The team from last year does not get the benefits of the team from the year before. So the 10-3 season was the 10-3 season. There's no carryover to the 5-7 season, no carryover to the 1-10 season. You get to start with a clean slate every single year. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time we won 10 games, I thought we were picked last, but I'm not quite sure. You might want to go check it out.
So is that motivation that you were picked last again this year?
You don't need motivation to play football. Every opportunity you get out there and you're going against somebody else, a different opponent, if you love the game, that's more than enough. You don't need motivation.
Steven?
Dino, I wanted to ask him about your attempts to improve your offensive line over the offseason. I know you brought in Jacob Bradford. You had someone else lined up. I'm not sure if he signed with ULM or not. It didn't come through. I guess how do you feel about the people you were able to bring in? Are you concerned about that you weren't able to bring in someone, considering the passing of the one-time transfer proposal? And is there any chance there's someone coming at the last second?
The answer to your last question is yes. We still have scholarships available for that position if we get any more opportunities down the road. But you're always, with that position, the more that we can improve it, the better off we're going to be. We don't want to take anybody, but if we think that person can help, we will. And we'll see how it goes. But right now, I think the biggest thing that's going to help that position is getting healthy from the guys that were there last year and making sure that we line up with the guys that know what they're doing.
Nico?
Hey, Coach. I guess we're not totally normal with all of us wearing masks like this, but is it a bit of a sign of relief that this season will be at least a lot more normal, or so we think, than it was last year?
It's not going to be normal with people missing that I like, but yes, that normalcy is really, really important. We're going to get an opportunity tonight for the very first time in over a year and a half to sit down here as a team to start a season. We didn't get that opportunity last year. We didn't get the opportunity for this interview last year, okay? And there was a lot of other things going on in people's minds that were more important than football. It was staying alive and not knowing what we were doing and what we were having to do with the COVID-19 virus. We understand that. So we are closer to normalcy. I think it's important when you're in a game like football that your team has an opportunity to see each other and be around each other. It really is a family, and there's no more, pick up your dinners and run home to your rooms and stay isolated with your roommates. You get an opportunity to sit down and eat and be around each other. And that conversation and that camaraderie is extremely important if you're going to have the things and do the things that you want to get done in football. Some teams handled it a lot better than our team did last year, but I think those things are going to be a huge advantage for us to get back to those things.
Coach, you have a couple of six-year seniors, though, defensive line, Aaron Syracuse, Chris Elmore. How important is their experience to this team this year?
The Super Six, they're huge. I can think back to every last one of them being in my office and making that commitment that they were going to come back. And they are the key to me to this football team. I think that their leadership is going to be extremely, extremely important, and the roles that they play on the football field are going to be important. I mean, most of these guys have already got their degrees or they're working on their master's degrees. They could have already started their life. They didn't necessarily have to come back to do this. And to be coming back and doing it at a very mature age. There's no 18 or 19-year-olds in that group. Okay, to be coming back and doing it at a very extremely mature age is extremely important, and I'm very, very thankful for them for that.
Thank you, Coach. Hey, Dino, what have you seen from your defensive unit so far, and what stands out?
Okay, you got to start a little bit because I'm trying to read your lips and I can't hear you with the mask. I can't read the lips. Okay.
Yeah. What have you seen from your defensive unit so far, and what stands out about its progression from last season?
I think first of all, them having an ability to do it a second time. They were a lot sharper in the spring, which you guys didn't get an opportunity to see. But they really understand the defense. When you get an opportunity to get some of these guys up here and ask them questions, you know, they really know what's going on now, and they know the why, okay? Why do we do this? Well, we do this because they may do that, and that's the reason why you have to make sure you get this done, because we don't want them to get to that. And I think that type of knowledge is really spread out not only throughout the defense, but I think it's also spreading out on the offense as well.
Nate and then Josh.
When you go back and evaluate the quarterback play the last couple seasons,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that position has been given adequate time to be more productive?
You know, it comes down to, there's a lot of things that go into a sack, you guys. I mean, sometimes the quarterback holds the ball too long. It's a sack. Sometimes a guy will miss a block clean. It's a sack. I think back to my son-in-law, the Clemson game, after they took that long drive a couple of years ago, and we got our fourth down play called back because we had somebody too far down the line of scrimmage, and ETN ran the ball all the way down the field, and we had a 2-minute drive. And I remember the very first snap, Coda, he'll get mad that I said this, but Coda couldn't hear the snap count. The guy jumps off, hits the quarterback. It looks terrible. You know, it's like, the problem was he didn't hear the snap count. That was his situation. There's a lot of things that go into a sack. Now, as a football coach, I know which issue on each play is each person's issue. But the thing I can tell you the most is there's enough to go around that you just don't want to blame it on one position. I mean, you guys have to write articles, and you guys can do that. But it's more than that. There's a lot more. Sometimes a receiver runs a route too deep. Okay? And now the quarterback's holding the ball. The offensive lineman did the right thing. The quarterback did the right thing. Sometimes the quarterback doesn't throw the ball to the right guy. There's enough to go around that you don't want to just pencil out each one. But I get it that you guys have to write articles, so I'm not going to get mad about it. But if you want me to break down the real reason, it's more complex than that.
Coach, kind of following up on that, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the quarterbacks that you have in camp this summer.
Got 5 of them.
Right. And I guess more specifically about Tommy and Garrett, just kind of what you want to see from those two guys, you know, in the next month here.
What I want to see from all the quarterbacks is I want to see drastic improvement for them to get better. I think the position's wide open, and what I mean by wide open is we're looking for someone to take that position over and own it, okay? I don't want to decide who the quarterback's going to be. I want someone to just win the position so doggone big that everybody knows who the quarterback should be. And then let's see if we can start the season with that guy and finish the season with that guy. Because when we do that, we normally like what our win and loss record is when it's all said and done.
What about Dan?
Coach, the secondary, Garrett Williams, Jihad Carter, Rob Hanna, guys that had to step in last year, just what you can say about that back line and the defense going into this season.
They've gotten bigger. They're going to have to be more physical back there, but they got a lot of reps in, and they should get better. They really should get better. 2 of them got put in probably a little bit sooner than we really wanted them to, but they really played well, which is normally what happens with young people. The football part is not the difference from high school to college, traditionally. But the strength and the development of, males from 18 to 20 to 21 is drastic. So these guys have gotten into the weight room. They've really changed their bodies, and we expect them to be more physical than they were last year. And hopefully that should be enough, because they have skill.
Mark and Brett.
Coach, I want to go back to what you were talking about when you answered Nico's question about normalcy. And I was just wondering, is it almost a re-energizing feeling for you and players, do you think, going into camp, knowing that you're going to be able to do what it was normal. Last year, you had to relearn everything. This year,
You know, I was sitting at home and I was just thinking, this is going to be so cool to actually open up camp in this room at 7:30 p.m. tonight. And we haven't had an opportunity to do that, to really talk about the team goals, things that we want to get done, and then let them get a good night's sleep, and then get started on Friday. And you guys, I've been the head coach of enough teams, and I've seen enough football teams in so many different situations that it's just, what do you really want to get done? And how many are you going to be totally unselfish, and you don't care who gets the credit as long as the objective is accomplished? And if you normally can get those things done, you're normally somewhere around successful. And then you just need a couple of plays here and there to make it better than that.
Brendan, Steven?
Coach, you mentioned it, we didn't see you in the spring. Fans, unfortunately, weren't able to go last year. It's been different. So here on the start of a new season, what's your message to the fans about this upcoming season and how they...
Can't wait for them to get into the dome. Can't wait for them to get in the dome. Can't wait for them to see it. There is no doubt that we were affected at home without playing with them. And if you don't believe that the dome is a home field advantage, you just remember last year. Just remember last year. And I know what an advantage that is, and you guys know what an advantage that is. But the really cool thing is we played some teams last year that came in here, and they think they can handle the dome, and they haven't seen the dome. And I can't wait to get that home schedule back in the dome. And I know what is, I'm kind of getting excited, but I understand the advantage of our 12th men when we're in there playing, and I'm looking forward to it.
I wanted to go back to the offensive line and the returners. How are you, I guess, kind of treating the competition there? Are you cross-training a lot of guys? Do you kind of have a lineup that you want to mold? You know, how are you going to try and use this month to get those guys ready?
We'll take about 10 days to see if any of the young kids want to make a move. You know, with the young guys, a couple of them might have enough strength or be close enough, whether they're going to be able to handle the mental plate of the stuff that goes on so they don't get somebody hurt that they're not supposed to get somebody hurt. And if some of those guys can cut the mustard, then we'll move them up into the upper echelon and we'll see where they fit. Yes, we will cross-train some people. We would like to not cross-train as many, but the bottom line is we've got to make sure we have our best guys in there no matter what. So if we've got a really decent guy behind a really good guy and we lose somebody inside, we may have to move a guy. The most important thing is make sure you got the 5 best, regardless of whether they play positions or not, as long as they don't hurt you in the move.
Just to follow up quickly, like we all know Aaron can play center and tackle, and that gives you flexibility. The guards specifically, it seems like you have 3 of them who check most of the boxes to be able to play. Do you view any of them as having flexibility to play center or tackle, and what would that do for you?
The answer is yes. And again, what it does for us, it gives the opportunity to play the best 5. We have those guys doing other things as we speak. Not predominantly, but they have to have some schooling in it just in case something happens.
Sure. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Got time for a few more before we get to our student athletes, so we'll start with Dan and then go to Nate.
Jarvion Howard and Abdul Evans coming back, just what the conversation was like and what it was like to have them back on, back with the team and back in the room, so to speak, and you having those weapons again.
The conversation was doggone glad to see you. Let's get back in the weight room and get started again. Now, those guys have, because of what happened last year, they got to work their way up the lineup, but they'll have every opportunity to do that. There's no grudges or anything like that. The best guy gets to play no matter what.
So, offensively, you obviously have been around long enough to know what this is supposed to look like. You know, when you were scoring 40 points a game, or you're capable of scoring 40 points a game, you know the pieces you need to have in order for that to become a reality. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, do you like the makeup of your offense to be able to get there?
I think that we have the makeup to do some things that people aren't used to seeing us do. Okay, I think it's not checkers, it's chess. If you got certain pieces, you need to make sure you use the pieces that are the most productive for you. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to work really hard offensively to make sure that our productive pieces are given every opportunity to not only move the football, get first downs, but also score points. And I have seen it, and I do know what it looks like. You're absolutely correct.
For our last two, we'll go to Brent then, Mike.
On that note, are you open to the possibility of, by design, 2 quarterbacks
You mean playing 2 quarterbacks?
playing 2 quarterbacks? By design?
We played 2 quarterbacks the 10-3 year. You have a starter, and if the starter's not playing well, I have the liberty of putting the backup in just like at any other position. You know, whether that's a receiver, or running back, a D-line, or a DB. And we executed. We did that the 10-3 year. I mean, twice Tommy came in off the bench and helped us win football games. That one time we had a huge battle during the week to decide who it was going to be. Dungy won the battle, and we finished out the season the way we finished out the season. So I don't think that's anything that hasn't happened before. I mean, I played 2 quarterbacks at Arizona, and we lost. I believe we lost 1 game that year. Maybe we tied 1. I can't remember. But we finished 4th in the country playing 2 quarterbacks. Do I like playing 2 quarterbacks? No. But you can do it, and it's been done.
Last question, Mike?
You know, I wanted to talk a little bit about NIL. I know that's another dimension to the game that'll be different this year than any previous year. How do you think that'll impact your team, especially depending on if your players make big plays and end up getting deals throughout the season?
It's new ground for me, and I'm not avoiding your question. It is absolutely new ground. Now, there might have been people that are involved in name, image, and likeness before name, image, and likeness, but I wasn't one of those people. So we have to go through, and we have to see, and we're going to have classes for the young men. I know that the administration, I believe, has 3 classes that the young men have to take. And we're going to make sure I've talked to them personally about certain things they need to understand when they're talking about getting into contractual agreements at their age, to make sure they read the fine print of what's going on. But, and some of them have got some deals already, you know. But I think we're going to really grow into that. And I think that once we get into this season, once we get out of this season, I think it'll probably find some roots somewhere on some solid ground. But right now, I'm just as young in this NIL stuff as everybody else, and the last thing I want to do is jump all in it and make a mistake, and that's the last thing I'd want one of my players to do.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay? All right, see you guys.